Good morning, everyone. Uh, Dr. Vishnu Durga from Action Invest Caribbean Inc. and the Who's Who in Guyana business. And this morning, I will be chatting with Ms. Marissa DaCosta from Demerara Realty. And she will be taking us through the process of home buying. So first of all, let me bring on Marissa. Marissa, good morning. How are you?
Hi, good morning, Vishnu. I'm very well, thanks. What about you?
Very, very good. I know that just about 2 weeks ago we had spoken about, um, really looking at what's available in our real estate market here in Guyana. And today, we are going to be looking at if we should continue renting or actually take the leap and purchase. So that's, I know there's a lot of interest in the real estate market. So I would like to hear your thoughts and Demerara Realty's thoughts on, what do we do? Do we take that leap and actually purchase?
Of course. As I this is both a financial and an emotional decision. So once you have made that decision to purchase, it's usually a better investment in the long term. So go right ahead, purchase. And today we will actually look at running through that home buying process.
Right. So I know that there are a lot of TV shows for those of us who have cable networks as well. We see shows like Property Brothers, for example, and it's always nice to see what they're able to do with those homes. They always make it look so easy. And then, there's a lot of bidding happening. People are doing their best to get that property. I know that most first-time home buyers actually need to go through the bank for financing, unless, of course, they inherited a large amount of cash. So, how does all this work? Is it as easy as we see on television?
Well, no and yes. So the Property Brothers indeed make it look very seamless, and that's one of my favorite shows actually. But while it's not, all that glossy, there are a couple of 6 easy steps. As a first-time home buyer, I had to not only mentally and financially prep myself for the price of homes locally, but I had to also prepare myself in terms of going out there, looking at properties. And even when we did find one that we liked, we still had major renovations. So it's a process. It's an involved process. It takes patience. And I would encourage anyone to sit down and think of questions that you want to ask for every stage. So today we're going to look at 6 easy steps of home buying, of the process itself. And we would ask you, as you're looking at this video, think of questions, think of things that you'd want to know more about. And you can always feel free to shoot it to us, or you can reach out via email or WhatsApp. So if we
Very good. Very good. So I know that you mentioned that we'll be looking at the 6 steps of home buying. So for the persons already viewing this live, make sure that you share this video so that others can also really follow along with what these 6 steps are in terms of buying a home. And if you are watching a recorded version of this particular video, feel free to leave your questions on, and I'm sure that Marissa and the team at Demerara Realty will be ensuring that they provide you with some feedback. So let's start with, of course, step number 1. Marissa, what is that all about?
So step number 1 is, as I mentioned in the video a few weeks back, determine how much you can afford. So you need to identify a realistic budget for yourself so that you're able to look at properties that are attainable. In our last video, we talked about determining your debt service ratio, and this simply means lining up your income against your monthly expenses and your monthly expenses should include your new mortgage payment. So determine whether your expenses fall within 40% of your earnings. 40% is the percentage that most local banks use to determine how well you will service the loan given your current salary and your expenses. So for example, if your salary is $100,000 per month, then you know that your fixed monthly expenses should not exceed $40,000. And you've got to factor in the mortgage payment there. Keep in mind also that you want to budget for things such as furniture for your new home, or you might have some routine maintenance expenses. Of course, all these things come with home ownership, so cater for breathing room in your budget. You Once you do these things, you'll be able to enjoy your home without having to have it become a source of financial stress. So plan ahead, be prepared. And of course, determining how much you can afford is usually the first step. We also have on our site, www.properties.gy, our mortgage calculator. So this actually will help you determine what price range you should be looking within. And I see you have it up there, Vishnu. Thank you very much. So if we use a typical example, for let's say that you want to borrow 10 or you want to purchase a property for $10 million. If you can plug that in for me, and we go the term life of the loan at 30 years. And let's say we use 6.5% as the interest rate per year. And if you just plug in 3,260,000 as the down payment there, and if we click on calculate, our mortgage payment per month should come up to $40,410 roughly. So again, the example that I used before, if you're earning a salary of $100,000 a month, then you want to make sure that your mortgage payment is no more than 40% of your income. So having said that, we should also factor in, again, you have other expenses, so please be careful. But you notice something there that I mentioned, which is the $3.2 million for the down payment. That's another very important step in the home buying process, saving for a down payment. So,
Right. So is that so step number one, if I get it clearly, is actually determining how much you can afford.
correct.
Right. And step number two is saving for a down payment. Tell me a little bit more about that, because how does someone develop the habit of savings so that you can actually have a good chunk of money to put down on a property? How does that happen?
Okay, so you can some three quick tips on saving. Map out a budget for yourself. You need to track your expenses. You need to track what are your non-essential purchases. And this will help you have some sort of financial discipline as well. One way of also doing it, pay yourself first. So most banks have an automatic savings that can be set up. So for example, if your salary comes into one account, you can, let's say the 10th of every month, you can have an automatic transfer be done on the 11th of every month, so that you pay yourself first. You will take up, let's say $50,000 a month. And you know that over the course of the next 10 months, you would have accumulated quite a chunk towards your down payment. So as I mentioned, it takes some amount of discipline. And of course, if you can always find ways to supplement your income, go right ahead and do that. This always allows for extra cash to put towards your down payment. But remember, the down payment, the point of having a larger down payment is to more or less benefit you in terms of how much you can afford. So the down payment also saves you a good amount of money over the course of the life of the loan. And most local banks will require a down payment between 10 to 20% of the value of the loan. So for a $10 million loan, they would require a down payment of between $1 to $2 million. Right. So the higher the down payment, the less monthly mortgage you would have, and the more cash in hand over the life of the loan.
So as it's just to make sure, because I've noticed a trend where people always try to pay the lowest amount for a down payment, and they think that by getting the lowest amount, they're actually doing themselves a favor. Are you saying that they might actually be costing themselves a lot more in interest in the long run?
Correct. That is very correct. So remember, your interest, the bank is in it to make money as well. So the more you borrow, it's the higher the interest rate. It's sometimes the longer the term of the loan. So you need to factor in all of this. And if you can take that time and have that discipline, save up and increase your down payment, it really, really helps. Now, you can choose to use a down payment to pay the person that you're buying from, to pay the seller, or you can use it and pay it to the bank and have the bank then issue the seller that initial down payment. So either way, it still works, but it really helps to decrease your payments over the term of the loan. A bigger down payment too can also result in a lower interest rate, but it varies on the lending policies of the bank. So the bigger the buyer's down payment, the less the risk the bank has with the buyer. So your loan to value ratio decreases. And it's also a way to negotiate with banks on a better interest rate. Remember, you are shopping around. They need your business. So they ought to be able to, say, well, hey, I can give you a better interest rate here, or I can give you a better interest rate as compared to that bank. You shop around. This is your money. You spend it.
And then the other thing that also comes to mind that I've seen happen frequently in the past is that people are all too happy to hear that they have a low monthly payment. And the low monthly payment usually comes about because a very long period of time is chosen. Like just now we chose 30 years, right? So from my perspective, I would also really advise that you look at the minimum amount of time that you could possibly take the loan for, because stretching it out for that amount of time can actually cause you to be paying for 2, sometimes 3 houses, right? So it's something to consider. Yes, the power of borrowing is very great, that you can actually be in the home, but don't just extend the time more than it should be, because it will end up costing you a lot more in the long run.
That is very correct, Vishnu. That's very correct. Great advice. What I wanted to also point out, so smaller monthly payments could also positively influence your future borrowing power. So meaning you now have more disposable income and you're more likely to qualify for the financing. So if you want to go and apply for a car loan, even better. And as you correctly mentioned, try as much as possible to not stretch out the term life of the loan.
All right, so I would encourage people who are watching right now. I can see quite a lot of people watching, and some questions are coming in. We will take your questions towards the end of the 6 steps. I know we are at step 2 of 6, but please feel free to send your questions in. Just put it in the comments, and what you can do is, I believe you have to give StreamYard permission in order for us to be able to view it immediately. If not, we will respond after. So Marissa, 2 steps are done there, right? We figured out how much we can spend. We figured out exactly how we need to actually save for that down payment. What's step number 3?
So it's finding a real estate agent you can trust and a home that you see yourself in. So real estate agents, they are so much more than searching for prospective homes for you. At Demerara Realty, we have information about the market, We can tell you whether an asking price is worth it for a property. We can tell you about the neighborhood. We can even give you financial advice, on which banks would be best for your budget. So we look out for our clients' best interests through essential guidance in the entire home buying process. Of course, feel free to do your own looking as well. You can visit our site, www.properties.gy. I see you have it up. You can certainly see what's there, or call us, as we may know of other properties being listed through other agents, and it might more than likely suit your criteria. So that's our third topic. And the next step is to choose a bank or a lender. So it's really advisable that, again, that you shop around for the best bank. And what determines the best would be those that offer competitive interest rates, would be the loan type that they use to do the calculations and your interest that you have to pay. And of course, the term life of the loan. Some banks also offer credited life insurance so that in the event, it's quite possible, but in the event of the death of the primary borrower, the loan is covered in its entirety. So in some instances, fire, flood insurance payments can also be incorporated into the monthly mortgage payment as well. And once you qualify, the bank can then issue a letter to the seller indicating that they will finance you for the purchase, and thereby making the process faster. Again, shop around. It's in your best interest to have potential lenders compete for your business.
Very good. And I'm sure that, I would even say maybe it would be something in the future to have the banks come on as well and really say what is the big benefit of doing business with them. But you did mention that, insurance is very important, so that if something were to happen to you, that the mortgage is paid off, so that it doesn't negatively affect your family or the people who, whoever you leave within the home. And I know that the banks will also insist on fire insurance and different insurances as well, so that should something go wrong, that you are actually also protected. Very good. So we're up to step 4 now, right? So what is step 5?
So it's to make the offer, complete the inspection, and sign the agreement. So once you've shown the interest in a property, you've made the offer to purchase, it's at this juncture, that the bank may be more than likely to request that an appraisal or an inspection or valuation be done to assess the house's integrity, fitness, and value. Keep in mind that a home inspection protects the buyer from unforeseen costs such as repairs that might be needed to the foundation, and it gives a good idea as to the true value of the property. The buyer can then use these issues to bargain with the seller for a reduced overall purchase price. And it's at this point that the buyer, the seller, and their respective agents can determine the best payment and possession terms for the agreement to sale, whilst the letter from the bank stating that their willingness to undertake the financing to the buyer will suffice as confirmation of the purchase. This is also usually where the seller may prefer to have the down payment in hand, and the buyer may opt to pay directly to the seller rather than lodge it with the bank, as I mentioned before. Once the agreement has been signed, initial payments made, the bank will then ensure that the property is passed to the buyer through the use of their appointed lawyers. And whilst this may incur an additional fee, it could be either charged directly to the buyer or incorporated into the mortgage. But this is, again, dependent on the policy of your bank. And finally, the 6th step is close and enjoy your new home. So once the process has been completed, the title, lease, or transport is transferred to the buyer's name, and be prepared to sign with the bank appointed lawyers to complete the transaction. And congrats to you, and time to enjoy your new home. So the overall time for this process is about 2 to 3 months. So the earlier you start shopping around for homes, the better. So of course, give Demerara Realty a call on 223-5555 or message us on 640-5555, and let's guide you through this.
Very good. Thank you very much, Marissa, for providing this really useful information. I'm sure that a lot of people are gonna, go back through the video and look at these steps. The economic climate, political climate is always dicey in Guyana. However, it's even more so. Um, However, people will always have to live in a home, which means that they're always either looking to buy one, and you'll always have some people looking to sell as well. So, given the level of expertise that you have indicated in this particular field, have no hesitation in encouraging people to make contact so that they can really get sound advice and opportunities as well. I love the website. It is really interactive. As soon as I log on there, I see a pop-up coming up, finding out if any support is needed. So that's also really good. Let's just take a look at. I saw a lot of positive comments, a lot of people loving, liking, and sharing the video. But you actually have a question here from Austin Akbar. Can a foreigner buy a house in Guyana? If yes, please explain the procedure and the requirements for me.
Um, yes, a foreigner can, but of course, I honestly I don't know all the details required for that. Um, but I can certainly check on that and get back to you. But as far as I'm aware, yes, foreigners do own properties locally, but there are a few red tape scenarios that you'll have to fulfill before we can actually go ahead. So I don't want to necessarily answer that right away. So let me get back to Mr. Akbar.
Yes, and
Yes,
the comment is on the page as well. So, as far as I know as well, the foreigners can own property in Guyana. So, I would encourage you, Austin, to contact Marissa at Demerara Realty so that she can further help you out through that. And if you check the website that is being scrolled below, you'll actually see some options as well that may be of your liking. Marissa, is there any opportunity for people if they don't see a property that they are interested in? Is there an opportunity for them to express what they're looking for you to be able to do some matching or searching?
yes, of course. So if you visit the website, once again, that's scrolling on the bottom of the screen, we have a function. There's a little button that says request a property, and you can click on that. You can enter the details. We have some preset definitions, more or less, and you can check out check off rather the options that you would like to have in a local
Mhm.
home, and we will try our best to suit you. Now remember, whilst we may not have it listed on the site, we do have properties running through other agents. We often collaborate, so we'd be able to certainly find you something.
Right, and I noticed as well that yeah, this is the button I mentioned here, so it allows for very easily to get the chat started. And I believe this is the one you're talking about, request the property.
Correct.
Right, so you're able to log in, and then you'll be able to actually submit your interest. So that's very interesting. That's very good. I saw that Austin said thank you very much for the response. So I think if he needs more info, he'll be sure to reach out.
I will.
Marissa, thank you very much for sharing this valuable information with our audience today. I'm sure that this is not the subject that is normally taught in school. It's sometimes not even a subject that our parents taught to us. So it's very important that this information is coming out so that people can really make informed decisions. I've heard horror stories of transactions gone wrong, and
Mm-hmm.
it's the last thing that you would want. Dealing with professionals is probably the most important thing any of us can do when we are looking at safeguarding our assets and making wise decisions. So, Marissa, any final advice before we go?
Well, other than my usual encouraging Guyanese to stay safe, I want to thank everybody who joined on the call, who took a look at the video. Of course, like and share, and feel free to reach out if you have any questions. We are here to help. So feel free.
All
Thank
right,
you very much, Vishnu.
welcome. So, you know, we at the team here at Action Invest, our main goal is to really ensure that people and organizations continue to be developed. You know, we always talk about this potential that Guyana has. You know, our role is to unlock and develop that potential. So I'm very happy to be able to provide that support. And I look forward again to talking to you again, you know, soon on a topic of interest, especially when it comes to real estate. So Marissa, thank you. Have a fantastic day.
You too.
And to everyone else watching us out there, please make sure, you know, if you found the information very useful, click like, click love, share it with people who are thinking about buying a property, selling a property, so that they can really have the information that they need at the top of their mind. So take care, and we'll talk again soon.